Imogen and welcome back to Colouring Kid. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video I want to share some of my abandoned colouring books which I either hope to come back to, which will be the majority of the video, and then some books which I don't really see myself coming back to and the reasons for that. But the main reason why I wanted to do this video is to hopefully give me that motivation, and hopefully you, the motivation that you might need to bring out your books that you haven't touched for a while and work in them. So this idea all kind of spurred from looking through my Clara Marova books, which are what I'm going to start with today, and it was something that I'd kind of been thinking about a few years ago, where I'd randomly put up a quick reel up on Instagram, I think it was, asking about this page that I was really unhappy with in Fairy Touch of Magic, and it was preventing me from moving on in the book and working on other things. I did then manage to start another page, and now it's an untouched whip that I haven't looked at for probably 2-3 years now. And I just thought, gosh, there are these books in my collection that I just don't come back to. There are reasons for some of them, but most of all, the reason is that because I have less time to colour, I'm just not getting to the range of books that I used to get to. I don't have the capacity for the same amount of colouring time that I used to have when I was younger and when I started. I obviously had less books when I started as well, so I was focusing on a smaller amount of books. And this theme is running kind of through my colouring journey very much so now, because I'm having to think carefully about, well, which books am I going to want to keep when I eventually move out, because I know that I'm going to have to de-stash quite a few books and you know, be quite mindful of that. So it's been something that's just been mulling over in my head for a few weeks now, and it's been something that I want to share with you. I am planning on doing a video just of all my untouched books, because I did that probably about 3 years ago now, and there are definitely some books that are still untouched. I'd be quite intrigued to see which ones still are, and some I have worked in. But obviously when I get new books in my collection, they are untouched for a little bit, but I do have some that I've had in my collection for years now and I haven't worked in. So yeah, sorry, I've been rambling, but I kind of just wanted to preface this and explain a little bit about it and what I'm going to be sharing. So I'm doing a really cozy evening video with you. I've got my pyjamas on, I'm nice and warm, and I'm really excited to film this. So as I said, we're going to be starting with Clara Marova. Now, you might have seen that I haven't really shown her books. I haven't worked in anything for around the past year or so. I just haven't managed to get to anything. Her pages are very detailed, and I just found they weren't the thing that I was gravitating towards at uni. And yeah, I just didn't really work in them, which was a major shame. But let's just start with them. So I Believe in Fairies was one that I intended to complete, and I do still intend to do that. I've had basically a year off, more so maybe. The last one I did was this, which I think I remember doing last year. And yeah, I want to get back to this. It might have even been 2 years ago, we'll see. I had a few flagged, haven't managed to get to any this holidays, but obviously out of all her books, they're postcards, so they're definitely more manageable. I'm just finding that I have more of the holiday season ones left, and I don't have time to get to them. So yeah, I'm more than halfway through, I think. But the thing that mainly puts me off from completing or wanting to complete books is if I have pages that I'm not very happy with, and it kind of, I lose the motivation. But I can honestly say there are parts of every postcard that I am really happy with. Other things maybe not so much. This unfortunately is not one of my favourites, and I think that's what's been stopping me from moving on with it. But yeah, I do intend to come back to this. This was something that I had always kind of dreamed of completing, and I thought would be really lovely to do. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can. I'll come back to that. So then we have Magical Delights and Tenderful Enchantments. Now for me, I feel like these books are very nostalgic, and they are more books now that I will just cherish and look at and have as reminders of the early stages of my colouring. Now, I did get Tenderful Enchantments. This is one of the later Clara Marova books that I got, probably in 2020. I got Magical Delights in 2017. But I think as her style has progressed, I found that her style in her earlier books is just not really what I gravitate towards. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying the same things about the people in Clara's books and how they're not the biggest fan of some of them. And I am not one for colouring portraits anyway, but I do also agree with the style of them. I find them quite tricky to colour sometimes, and some of them the eyes or the mouth are sometimes a bit funny for me, so I tend to gravitate towards pictures that don't have people in, but inevitably there are going to be some that have people in. But you can see with my early pages in this, I did have to end up cutting one out because it got ruined so badly. I didn't touch any with the people. So yeah, I did cut a page out, but this, I think this is absolutely gorgeous. There are some pages in here which I think are really, really beautiful and I'd like to work in. But yeah, for me, more so on my colouring journey now, books that I work in, I could see myself completing. And with this, I don't necessarily see that anymore, and I just want to keep it as kind of a time capsule of one of the very first really nice books that I got. And then Tenderful Enchantments, I love. I really, really, really love this book. My binding is a little bit skew-iff in this book. Not quite sure why. This is really lovely. I love her style in this one. The pages I've done in here, I do not like, particularly. And that's what's stopping me from moving on. It's nothing to do with the illustrations. I just did them so long ago. You know, most of my stuff we're talking now as, you know, I started colouring basically since forever, you know, 2014. But with a lot of these things, they're kind of 4 going on 5 years in some cases. So yes, I don't tend to do massive areas of glitter anymore. I tend to just use them for small accents. So the tag for me, I would never do it like that anymore. I used really garish colours. I'm not a fan of the ribbon because I don't think it ties in at all with the rest of the page, aside from the strawberries. Yeah, I just think I threw too much at this. I used Prismacolors, so there are colours here that just are quite bright, and I don't think there's a cohesive colour palette going on in that. Similarly with this one, I think the colour palette is a bit better. I just think some of the, for me, some of it just looks a bit bland. I think it's all of the kind of beige colours I chose to use. I just think it needed something else. I like the fact that I used an autumnal leaf colour palette, or attempted to at least, and I like the background, but I don't know. I think it's just my style and what it was back then, if I'm honest. But there are other pages that I really like, and so I think for me it would definitely be a case of either taking those pages out so that it was fresh and I had that motivation to work in it, or I try and fix the pages. But I think they're kind of unfixable because there's so much pencil that's just been burnished and burnished to death. So those are those 2 books. Fairy Miracles I definitely will come back to. Now this is the second copy. I have done 1 page in here, I think last year or the year before, which I'm happy with. I wouldn't do the wings the same way with all of the Stardust glitter, but apart from that, really happy with it. I used Holbein pencil and a few Prismacolor, and I like the accents. I love the subject matter of the page. So yeah, there's nothing stopping me working in this book. It's not my favourite in terms of the illustrations, but actually I love the style, and for the most part the people in here I really, really like. So yeah, there's nothing stopping me coming back to this book. It's just a matter of time. And I've also done a lot of pages in here in my first copy. that I kind of really am not happy with now. So I'm very grateful to have a second copy of this. But yeah, there's nothing stopping me coming back to that one, which is good. Then we have the main one, which kind of kick-started the whole thing. We have Fairy Celebrations. Now, this at one point during COVID was a book that I was constantly coming to. I think I've done about 14 pages in here. Some of them I love. Some of them I'm like, oh, if all of my pages had been like that, I would 100% be working towards completing this book. I think her style in this book is my favourite of all of the books. I really love it. And my aim with this at some point, which could be a fun little series or something like that. I'm not saying it would be anywhere in the near future, but at some point on this channel, I would like to come back to pages that I'm not overly happy with and fix them up. This is one of the ones that I'm happy with. I think I would leave it as it is, maybe add a bit more dimension in the grass. But I am happy with that one. This one again, I think it's very pastel. I would change some of these bits just so that there's a bit more definition, but for the page and the subject matter of the page, I think it works, and I'm chuffed with it. The one that's really getting on my nerves is this. I think it was one of the first pages that I did, and sorry, I know it may seem that I'm being really harsh on myself, but like a lot of people, colorists, we're kind of all our own worst critics, and there are things that I love about the pages and there are just some things that I would like to change. So I decided to use budget pencils for this, and I think you can tell. I think I used a lot of Faber-Castell Classic pencils and they just didn't really shine on this paper. Some papers I find they work really well, others not so much, and the background is the first thing that I would change. I think that needs just to be blended out more. It needs vibrancy. I don't like the colour palette with this because I think there's too much going on, and to be honest, there's not much that I could do to fix it, because all the colours kind of laid down. Don't like the glitter gel pen hearts here because I think that's quite a bright colour. I'm not really sure what to do with this, if I'm honest. I think that's tricky. It is a double spread, so I could just whip it out, but I think that would be a shame. So that's kind of the one that's tricky for me to try and figure out in this book. I like this one. I've got a colour along with this one on my channel. Again, I think there would just be minor things that would need touching up with that. Overall, I like it. Love this page. Really chuffed with this one. Wouldn't change a thing about that. That was the Chris Cheng tutorial. This one, quite pale. Quite like it. Nothing major on that. Now, the thing that I really would like to change on some pages here are the way that I've done the backgrounds. When I used to do backgrounds, I used to do these really obvious gradients from dark to light, and I think it needs to be flat. So I have used Prismacolors and Holbeins for that, so I'm not really sure how that would be possible. I think I would have to go in and erase it and then just do flat colour, because I think it takes away from the other elements in the page. So yeah, overall though, love the mushrooms. Sorry, I'm spending ages on these books, but this is kind of what kickstarted it, and everything else will be a little bit quicker. Really like this one. I loved adding the background in with that wallpaper idea. Again, muted, but I like it, and I think it's suitable for this page. I would just go in and add a bit more shading on this edge here. Just touch up the backgrounds. Not really a fan of this one. Again, I think there's too much going on, not enough dimension with the shading. I really struggle with colouring a lot of fruits and berries if they are heavily on the page. So I think that's something that got to me a bit with this. The mushrooms are a bit bright. I was using a lot of fine liner bases as well for things. I like the honeycomb. I was chuffed with that. So I would go in with the background, make it a little bit darker, a bit more full. Yeah. Same thing with the background here, but apart from that, not much. Wouldn't change a thing about that double spread. That was probably one of my favourite pages I've ever done. So happy with that. And that's what is motivating me to carry on with this book, because I love that. This one, I use Derwent Blender pens a lot, and you can tell because it's bled through, which is such a shame. But for this, I think just touching up the background so that it's smooth, darkening the red so it's not so bright. And this, I think, is meant to be a jelly, but I did it as a cake. So I'd quite like to go in and change that potentially to like a lime jelly or something. But I do like this page. I like the lines I added in on this carpet thing, and the scarf. I coloured the top of the box, which I haven't added for some reason. So there are things that I like about this page. I just think, again, there's a lot going on. And then, is this the final picture? No, this is another one that's getting to me. I used Crayola for pretty much the whole thing, and Prismacolor for a few bits, and I just think that needs a refresh. And then this one. This one again needs something, but I don't really know what. So yeah, this is one where I really want to keep working in it. And I know for some people this wouldn't be an issue at all, and they think, well, it shows my progression over time, and you know, from when I first got the book, when it came out, up until now. For me, I like to see some sense of cohesion throughout my books, and I just don't think at the moment, I think some of the pages are lacking compared to others. And I love the pages that I've yet to colour. So yeah, this is one that I need to have a little think about, and I don't have the time at the moment to be able to, so I think that's one that I'm just going to think about and keep in mind. So the book in question, which I'd done the reel about, was Fairy Touch of Magic. I'd done this page and I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with it, if I'm honest. This one. Yeah. There's just no thought process with this. And yeah, I don't really know what to do with it. I was just contemplating taking it out. It's in the middle of one of the bindings, so it'd be easy to, but I like this page and I don't want to necessarily forfeit it. I just think it's all a bit bright, all a bit messy in terms of a colour palette, because there really isn't one. And yeah, it's not overly thrilled. I'm not sure why I picked it as my first page actually, because it's quite heavy going in terms of so many different elements. So that was on me. Yeah, I need a reset on that. Then I did get back into the book because I did get motivation to start working on another page, and I used Faber-Castell Black Edition pencils when I got the full set, and unfortunately I didn't write down the colours I was using, and I love how that turned out. I just didn't finish it. I was kind of going for an aubergine house, so that very much is abandoned because I can't remember what I used, and I don't want to erase that because I really like it, so that's tricky. But again, I love, ooh, hang on, they're not the right colours, I don't think. I love the illustration style in this. I'm finding at this point in Clara's books, some of the people are a little bit strange. I just really love it, and it's not, you know, it's just such a shame that I'm so unsatisfied with that picture, but yeah, it's a gorgeous book, and I need to tell myself it shouldn't matter, but I'm just like that, and I'd love to know if I'm also in company and there are other people that are like that in terms of having either whips in a book and you can't move on to another page until the whip's finished, or just being unhappy with a page that is completed in the book but you still don't want to work on it because you're unhappy with that page. That's what I'm feeling with that book at the moment. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. I have started a page in Little Secrets from My Fairy House by Clara. Now, there was, similarly to Fairy Miracles, there was nothing about the page that I'd done in here that I disliked. It's just I hadn't got to this book. I felt intimidated to start something new. The page that I'd done, and I haven't got her new book as of yet, because they're very expensive, and I think because it's kind of quite telling that I hadn't worked in her books for a while. I might get it at some point, but I would like to start filling the books. This one I love. This was one of my favourite pages from the year when I did it. The only thing I don't like is this carpet, which I kind of mucked up, and then I had to go over it. Oh, no, I didn't muck it up. I decided to use pink Posca pen and then go over with pencil, which just didn't really work. But I think it just about is okay with the rest of the page. This is meant to be the nameplate page. And again, I don't really know why I chose this as the first page, because I felt a bit of a nervousness to start in the actual book because I'd done the nameplate and not an actual picture. But anyway, I started another page the other day. I would just like to show you what I mean about the faces and what I mean. They're not deal breakers, but the bunny for some reason here scares me a little bit. And I don't know whether I can go in and fix it up. I think it's the teeth. The eyes are cute, but I think it's the teeth. And it's just also the size of it. Like, I'm not quite sure why the bunny is way bigger than the girl. But other than that, I love the page, and I think I could fix it up. And it's one that I was considering working on. But that's kind of what I mean. I love this page. That's one I was considering doing, so I don't need to talk about that one. Here, I think this is a little bit... I think it's the frog face. I mean, frogs aren't my favourite thing to colour by any means at all, and I don't particularly gravitate towards them. I don't know, it's just I'm not quite keen on that or that one. This is the one that I'm working on. So oddly I went for berries, and I don't really know why, because I like I said, I kind of struggled to colour them, but I've overcome that and I've done the berries first. I don't really know where I'm heading with this, but I'm loving it. I'm really taking my time, trying not to add too many colours, trying to make it cohesive by colouring like all of the brown elements first and then going in with the purples, and I'm going to start going in with pinky purples and things like that. I do have an idea vaguely where this is going, and I'm really enjoying it. So that's one that I'm sort of picking away at, and it's my current work in progress. Is this the page that I wasn't keen on? No, I love that one as well. That's one that I was going to do for winter if I'd managed to get around to it. But to be honest, it wouldn't need to be a wintry page. I could totally do that any time of year, really, even though it's in the wintry section. But yeah, I love this book. Illustration wise, probably my second favourite with Fairy Celebrations. So I'm just annoyed with myself that I've kind of mucked up some of the pages in Fairy Celebrations. But this is what I'm aiming for with some of these books, to come back to them like I have with Little Secrets from My Fairy House, because it's been 2 years since I've worked on this book. I think I did it January 2023, that page. So very happy that I managed to get to that. So that's the positive note to this video. Right, the other books I'm going to kind of skim through now that you've got the idea of what I mean, using the Clara Marova pages as an example. So The Flower Year by Layla Dooley is an abandoned book purely because I haven't had time to come back to it, and now I'm even more intimidated to work in this book because it's been discontinued and you can't buy it anymore. They're not printing anymore. You can't really find it on Amazon. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else, but this is my second copy, and I'm just praying that like pages that I do in this I'm really happy with, because I would eventually at some point in my life love to complete this book, and knowing that I can't get another copy again is a shame, and it's making me, like I said, more intimidated to work in it. I have a long-term whip in here, which I'm not unhappy with. I just need to come back to it, and I think I would start these again, the snakehead fritillaries. They haven't really turned out the way I wanted anyway, and also I can't remember what colours I used, so yeah, that's one that I need to work on. But yeah, I don't think I have any other whips apart from that. This is one that I really wanted to do this holidays, which I just haven't got around to yet. But I'm just kind of picking away at bits in this book and taking my time because I don't want to ruin it. The painted lady butterfly I did with Holbein's, very, very happy with that second time around. I did it with Crayola in my book the first time around. And then I've done the mistletoe, which luckily I've written down the colours for, so I can transfer it over. So yeah, it's the feel of the book, it's the quality, I love it. And I do get intimidated, and it is very overwhelming because there aren't any animals or many bugs and things to counteract all of the flower colouring, so I really do have to be in the mood. But yeah, I love it. I really, really do. So that's abandoned purely because I'm intimidated to come back to it. Then we have Symphony of Cute Animals. Now this I was inspired to want to work in again because of Leon's Journey. So when I did the Leon's Journey flip through, I was like, gosh, I really need to come back to Symphony of Cute Animals. Her first two books, Koko's books, I think her books have just kept getting better and better as she's released them. There are pages in Rhapsody in the Forest and Menuet de Bonheur that stand out to me that I really love and I want to work in. Menuet de Bonheur I haven't got a second copy of. I've done so many pages in that from when I first started colouring. Rhapsody in the Forest I've barely started a page, so that's basically a fresh book. But I wanted to come back to Symphony of Cute Animals. I love the format. This size is my favourite. I have a lot of the books that are kind of Joanna Basford size books, but I prefer the rectangular books or smaller square ones like this in the Rita Berman books. So for me the format's great. I love the illustrations. I love the seasonal feel with this. We have some wintry pages and kind of goes through the seasons like Leon's Journey does. Now I've done 4 pages in here. One I'm super happy with, and it was one of my favourite pages when I completed it. Still love it, nothing I would change. This I believe was inspired by Kylo Colours on Instagram. I could be wrong, and if I am, I'm very sorry. Then we have, gosh, they're all at the front, are they? Aren't they? I keep forgetting. This one, again, I used those Derwent Blender pens, which I think are fine for some things, like backgrounds and occasional things, but I just think I made the fatal flaw of not putting enough layers down before I used them. And because of that, there's not a lot of dimension. So I like it, but I would go in with the grass, fix that up a bit, do the wellies again, do these leaves. That had a fine liner base, which I think was potentially a mistake. I just think it's a little bit flat. And there are just certain things that I would go back in and touch up. So that is for sure one that I can just add a bit to, and I'll be pleased with it. This one, again, happy with. It's very pastel, but that's the look I was going for because it was an Easter page. I think the only thing I would maybe need to go back and do is do something with this extra strip of white because I hadn't fully broken the spine. But no, I like that. And then we have this page, which I'm half and half about. Oh no, my spine's kind of coming undone here. I like all the animals. I think the background, well, there isn't really one, which kind of speaks for itself, but this is all just too pastel. I was getting really involved with using my fine liners and I didn't really shade it the way I wanted to, and I think it doesn't really fit everything else, and there's no way I can really fix that unless I deepen the colours and mute them slightly that way, because I've used so much fine liner basing. So that's a shame, and that's what's stopping me from coming and working in the book really at the moment. So yeah, it is a shame, but I really want to work in it. I love this smaller style, and I know that if you buy the English edition, it is now the same size as the other books. It's the bigger format, so if you do want the smaller format, the Japanese version is the way to go. So then we have Minorized Dashes by Rita Berman. Now I'm using this book as an example because Rita Berman books generally have been something that I just haven't managed to get to recently, and I am planning on getting to the spring book. And I love her books, you all know this. She's one of my favourite artists. I did get to the Africa book late last year, which for me is pretty good considering I've hardly managed to get to anything really since I've been at uni. So this book, a little while ago when it first came out, was a book I wanted to complete, and I still would love to meet that goal at some point in my life. But there are pages in here that I need to fix, like Fairy Celebrations, in order to move on. At the moment, I'm more content with this book carrying on with it without having fixed the pages, whereas with Fairy Celebrations I feel like I have to fix the pages that I'm not happy with before I can move on. Don't know why, but with this one I'd be very happy to start working on a new page, and that was my intention. I'd love to work on this because we're going to Italy over the summer, and I'd love to do more of the Italy pages, but currently they are the ones that I'm not happy with in the book. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of quickly flip through what I've done. I'm very happy with all of these. Love this double page spread. I like this one. This is a page that I wanted to work on and I'm still intending on doing at some point. I love all the different elements. I love the composition of it. I would really, really like to do that one. Happy with that. I showed this to my mum and she was like, it's a bit dark. That was kind of the effect I was going for. I was thinking wintry, murky evening in London vibe. So that's come out the way I wanted it to. This, love, is still one of my all-time favourite pages, I think, mainly due to the backgrounds. Yeah, don't think I would change anything about those. Happy with these. I like that page more just because it's more of a scene thing and more of my thing rather than all of the buildings, but it's a nice double page spread. I like this one. This is one of the newer ones I did a couple of summers ago when I was trying to get back into the book on holiday, and I like it. I like it. I struggle with the food, but I think overall the colour palette works. This double page spread. I tended to do these as double page spreads when I first started. I love this one. I really want to colour that one. This I need to fix. I think it's all the food elements overwhelming me. There is a decent attempt at a colour palette with this. I just think, yet again, I used Crayola and I didn't get the effect I wanted. I used Crayola and Black Widow together, and I just think I need to go in with some luminance or Holbein and just add a bit more to it. I just think it needs something and I'm not sure what, but hopefully I will figure it out. And this one. I don't think there's really much I can do to this at this point. Again, it's all of the fruits, and with me, I want to obviously colour them realistically-ish, and there are just lots of different fruits, and therefore lots of different colours going on. I think the background is fine, but I don't think it particularly works, but the effect I was going for was doing a lighter colour versions of the Italian flag and merging them together. I don't really know what I would do to change this really. So yeah, I think I could be content with leaving it. Just think there's something, it's just a little bit off the mark and I don't know why. See, I would love to do this one. This is my dream one to do whilst we are taking our road trip to Italy. I would love to do that. How fun would that be? And we are literally staying in the middle of nowhere in the hills in Tuscany, in Umbria, I should say, over the summer. That would be amazing. Really love this one. No complaints. And that's it. And I love the turtle at the beginning. I'm, as always, ever so grateful that I've got a message and a signature from Rita in the book. I just really am inspired to come back to it. like Little Secrets of My Fairy House, I really want to come back to it. I want to do the turtle, I want to do this page because I've just been to Devon, and I really, really want to do this one because it's spring themed, but I would like to work in the spring book instead. And then we had the page back here that I showed you that I really loved. Woo. Can't find it now. That one. Really love that one. These are some of my earliest pages and I'm still really happy with them. So yeah, this is a must have. That's one of my favourite pages as well to come back to. I adore it. So yeah. Along the same vein, we have Makiko and Atoms Yurui's Journey Sketch. I love this book. I love it. As much as I love the Wreath book, the new one, this one still has my heart. I think it's partly the paper quality, but also it's the story running through it, the different seasons, which we do have in the other book, but there's something about this one. There are huge double spreads that are intimidating me. There are some pages that I love and some pages that I would go and sort of touch up a bit. This one was the most recent one I did, which I think again was Christmas 23 going into, or Christmas 22 going into January 23, I think. And my idea for this is that for each season I'd have a colour palette running through all of the pictures, and I think that could still apply to this because I've written down all of the colours. I'm happy with it. I'm content with it. I've done nothing in the summer or the autumn bits, which makes me really upset. Then we have my Easter pictures. I wouldn't change a thing because I think the vibe I'm going for is pastel. So I don't think there would be any reason for me to go back to that one. This one I love. Was that the first one I did? I think it was the first one I did. This one, I did the same colours and transferred them over. I just don't think there's quite the same vibrancy. The only thing I would go in and change is the background and this background bit. But again, I don't really think there's anything I can do about that because I wanted the light pastel effect. So I don't really know why I'm put off by this slightly, because it's exactly the same pretty much in terms of the way I approached it. So I think I just need to get out of doing the spring pictures so that I can explore more with doing the detail, not the detail, what am I on about? Doing different colour palettes. And then eventually I will come back to these and have like a really motivated streak within me to, you know, come and work on it. Interiors scare me a little bit because there's a lot of wood. I don't have to colour it brown, but I just don't want to colour a lot of brown sometimes. So yeah, I have written down the colours for everything so I can make it cohesive, but I would really like to do another page in this. I really would. I use Holbein in this as well, which I love. So yeah, again, that's one that I need to come back to. If there's any takeaway from this video, it's this book and Minorized Dashes, which I need to work in. They are must-haves. I know I said I was going to get through these quickly, or more quickly than the Clara Marova, but I'm not doing a very good job of that, am I? I promise you this massive stack that I have next to me will be quicker because there are reasons for a lot of these. I haven't come back to them. We have the Romantic Country books. The third one I don't have a second copy of. These two are my second copies of my original copies because I got my original copies in 2017, 2018. Unfortunately, some of the pages that I've done in these second copies I'm not thrilled with, purely because they were also done many years ago, kind of at the beginning of my channel. I also think partly with this first book it's to do with the style. Some of the pages aren't that detailed, and it's sometimes I really want something to sink my teeth into, and for me having these big open spaces of the grass is intimidating because I'd want to try and do a grass effect and it's just quite a lot. I've done this one. I'm really not happy with the cape and the way that turned out, and the background is a bit I like the seasonal pages in this though. There's that Christmas one and the Easter one, which I like. I didn't even talk about this one, sorry. I think there's just a lot of pastel. I like it. I did the same effect as the Fairy Celebrations wallpaper. I think it's partly the paper as well. I'm really intrigued, and I would quite like to get her new book because I like the format, and I've heard the Japanese paper is good compared to this. So we will see about that one. This one, the style is much more my thing. I like that the pages are more detailed and fuller. There are some that are very detailed and very overwhelming, but I really love it. I coloured that Easter one on my last copy, which I just adore. I'd love to do that one again. I'm just very, yeah. I just don't like that. I did it years ago. It must have been 2020. Maybe even pushing 2019. Yeah. Again, I could take it out, but I'd be sacrificing 2 double page spreads, so we don't really want that, do we? Unless I just took this out and then taped it. That's what's really stopping me from coming back to this book. I really also find these spreads overwhelming with all of the clothing and the wallpapers. And this one, again, just not really chuffed with. I wouldn't mind taking that out, but I love the circus pages and the ones at the back. I think the second half of the book is just wonderful. I think I just need to find what works in this, because I don't think the pencils that I've used in the past have really worked. Oh, sorry, I'm shaking the camera all over the place. So they're stumping me a little bit. I like the paper in the Japanese editions because the other one I have, the what's it called? The fairy tale one. I really don't like one of the pages I did in the Easter one because I used too much metallic paint, which just overwhelmed the page. So that would be one that I'd like to revisit. And I never got any of her tracing books, but I did like them. So we have Circle of Life. I like the pages that I've done in here. I like them. I think that's kind of, I'm content with them. I don't know if I've said that a lot. I used budget-friendly pencils for a lot of the pages. I don't think my colouring is necessarily the best in this book, but I think that's partly due to all of the dark areas and me finding it quite hard to shade. I like this one. There was a lot going on. I used my Brute Founder pencils for that. And I love this. This was like the first page that I did in here. And I really, really, really love it. So, yeah, I just think approaching these detailed pages, I'm not quite as just ready to dive into one now as I was a few years ago. A lot of these were during COVID where I had the time to do it. Like this one, the background took me ages. So I just think the way I'm approaching pages now is very different because I'm not as I'm not just going to go into a really detailed page because I know that if I then abandon it, I'm not going to have the time to come back to it. So again, this is one that I would really like to get back to, but it just hasn't happened. Slash maybe even get a second copy. We will see. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided or thought about it enough. Because like I said, I'm content with the other pages. So yeah, that's Circle of Life. And we have Woodland Watercolor by Clara Marova. The last time I worked in this was 2 summers ago now, in 23. The reason I haven't come back to this is just because I haven't been watercolouring as much. I'm very happy with the pages that I've done in here, and I would like to come back to it. I don't do any shading with pencil, I just do watercolour, and it's just a case of hardly having any time to colour and then just not really wanting to get all messy with watercolours. I've only done 4 in here. I thought I'd done 5. It's a gorgeous book though. Really like it, and there are some that I would love to do in here. Maybe it's just 4. I'm also still a little bit scared of masking fluid, and I'm not sure I've quite mastered it yet. I'm always a bit wary. So yeah, I did 4 in a short space of time. But yeah, I love that book. And I just wanted to mention as well, that was a book where I made a conscious decision to use watercolour throughout it. So there were certain books, like the next one I'm going to show you, where I think I'm just going to use water medium in and play around with it a little bit more and not be so scared. Whereas there are other books I'm just like, no, I'm just going to stick to pencil, which, to be honest, are most of my books. So then we have Seasons from Hannah Carlson. By Hannah Carlson. I've done 1 page in here. This overall is one of my, I think it's my favourite book of hers. I don't have all of her books. I wouldn't say my style completely works for Hannah Carlson's books. I don't really know why, but I did this page and I was happy with it. I didn't spend very long on it, but that wasn't really the reason that I did it. It was mainly just to have fun with mixed media, and I used some Derwent Inktense pencils and some glitter and yeah, had fun. So it would be really nice to get back to this book and use water medium. I have a few small sets of Neocolours which I would like to use, and I think if I'm not scared about just throwing whatever at it, I don't need to be worried about the outcome. I think the paper can handle it, and yeah, I think it would be fun to have this as a mixed media book. So that's one that if I'm struggling and I don't know what to colour and I just want something to let loose, this would be a nice book to have for that. Equally, there are a few books I have which I just use alcohol markers on, or I have postcards that I use alcohol marker when I need something non-pencil related. So then we have some books where I have long-term whips or just pages that these are the books where I just don't think I'm going to get back to them, basically. And I'm undecided what to do next, about buying other copies or just leaving them. So Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, I completed this book in 2018, and this is my second copy, and I started working through it in order again. And I think at the time that I started doing this, it must have been ish during COVID. I had longer to work on things. I just think I'm not at that point in my life where I can sit and complete these sorts of pages again. They are so detailed and there's just so much going on, and the thought of doing some of the double page spreads that I did again doesn't really call to me. Things like this with the treasure, it just, yeah, doesn't really call to me. I did pretty well getting up to here, and this is my long-term width I haven't gone back to, because the hydrangeas, the thought of doing those again, the amount of work it took the first time to do them, oh my gosh. Yeah, I just haven't come back to it, and I think it's a case of getting really, really excited about this and working on it. I'm thrilled with that. I don't think my style quite works anymore for coming back to this, and I don't think it fits what I've done so far. If I was to carry on with the book, I think it all looks very different, which saddens me because I adore this book, and the fact that I have my first copy to read to my children and stuff in the future, I love it. There are just pages in that where I was so excited to do them again because I was gutted with the some of the pages the first time round. Looking back, you know, many years later down the line. But yeah, I think this is a case of either getting another copy and starting all over again in a few years' time, or just kind of leaving it and being content with my first copy, or just not worrying and doing it out of order and buying a new copy and doing that instead, which could also be a possibility. So yeah, I think if I was to do that, that would make me happier about doing pages, and then I could just dot around and do what I wanted. So that's that one. Then we have a long-term whip and Boule de Poire. I'm probably not saying that right, but this is Furballs by Diane Defoe. I've seen so many people work in this, they love it, and I just don't have the same enthusiasm for it, and I don't know why, because the illustrations are definitely my sort of thing. I'd love to do that. And there are some that I picked out for winter that I never got to, and I think it's because I have this whip that I'm just not pleased with. Again, it looks very flat. I was using budget pencils and I think it shows, and I could try erasing it and trying again, but I'm afraid that I use the Derwent Blender pens and I'm not going to be able to do that. So that's where I'm stuck at the moment with this, but I think it's really cute and it's a great size and I could just have fun with it. So I need to figure this out and find my enthusiasm, I think, for that book. It's really sweet. Then I have this book, I cannot remember at all what this is called. I'm so sorry. But this, let's see if it's in the back. This book I have a long-term whip in. Oh, Karamomo Chiaki, that's the illustrator. See that. But this I have a long time whip in, which I just haven't come back to, and I'm kicking myself because again I didn't write down the colour combinations, so I can't do that tree the same. And polar bears are my favourite animal, and I just wish that I hadn't started on my favourite page first. But they're beautiful pages, and I think I scared myself off by trying to recreate the illustrations. So that's just an untouched whip, which is why that book is currently abandoned. Then we have Sagok Sagna, which for a very good reason is abandoned because I now have Fairy Tales and Folklore. I did a lot of pages in this when I first got it. Again, this was kind of one of the first proper colouring books I got with hardback. And yeah, there are just pages in here that I did. And looking back, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see that I was really chuffed with it at the time. And I look back now and there are things that I would change about them. But yeah, I love the paper quality in the new book. Like I've said, that book is absolutely gorgeous and it's what I would dream every book to be like. The paper in here I'm not as much of a fan of. The Swedish editions of books, and that goes for Maria Troll ones as well, yeah, I'm just not as much of a fan of. That was one of the first pages I did on my channel as a colour along. Gosh, that was all with Prismacolors as well. We have this one. So yeah, that one will be just a lovely memento book for many years ago. Then we have Botanical Wonderland by Rachel Reiner. Again, this one I did lots of pages in, and I just think some of them either look very similar or there's just not enough definition. I loved playing around with colour palettes and lots of gel pens and paint pens, and oh, it was so much fun doing it at the time. I was considering potentially getting a second copy of this. I was really struggling to find it anywhere. And I'm actually now thinking, is it really my style anymore? Would I want to colour it? I love this. I really, really, really love this. So maybe I'll just do a select few in here and pull them out. I love the more scenic ones, I think, rather than just the random things on a page. I love that one. So yeah, I definitely think there would be scope for me coming back to her illustrations, and whether that's in this copy or getting a new one and trying again many years later down the line, we will see. And the final two books I have to share with you are Maria Troll books. Now, I could have picked any. There are some that I can see myself coming back to. Shooting Star is my most recent edition, and obviously I definitely see myself coming back to that. But I picked these two as examples but for different reasons, and it's kind of a common thread throughout the books. Now, Schematised I was going to pull out, but I thought that's kind of the same case as my other books that I was thinking of having as project books. So originally I thought with Schematised I was going to complete it, and there are just so many pages in that over the years that I know I would want to change, and I'm just not happy with. And I think the only way to go about working on that book again is to get a second copy. With these, I'm stumped. Twilight Garden, I have a whip that's been a whip for years, ever since I got it, maybe in 2017, 2018. And I've done the tiniest bit and I can easily just erase it. Not a problem. Can't even find it now. It's just a tiny bit of a watering can. It's going to really bug me that I can't find it. There. I can just erase that. Yeah. Some of the pages I love, others not so keen. So I think I wouldn't be too adverse to kind of pulling the book apart and just doing some pages that I really, really loved. I'm not a fan of all of the patterny pages, but then there are others with the animals that I think are adorable. The mice, I really love this one. We don't have the reference guide at the back, which is tricky for me because I like to try and make flowers realistic. But I think with this, it's one that I wouldn't think of completing, which is what's putting me off kind of even getting started in it. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we have Dream Reese. Now this one I did consider a project book for a very long time, and I'm in a similar situation to this with Ivy and Inky Butterfly. I love the paper, I love the quality of this book, I think it's gorgeous, but I'm too far gone into this from many years ago. Again, this must have been pre or during COVID, where I pretty much worked in this in order, skipping that, I don't know why I skipped that page, with a very similar colour palette throughout the whole thing, because it's a story, and getting to a stage where I was slightly bored and I wasn't very content with the pages that I'd done. That was the first page that I did. I had a long hiatus from the book for about a year, and then I started back in it. But again, there are pages that I adore in this book. I've also done this one. But the whale that we just passed, oh my goodness. The whale is enough to kind of get me started back in this book. That one, the fox, all of the fox images. This double spread is one of the most gorgeous pages I've ever seen. That one is stunning. So I think again I would just work in it out of order. I love that one as well. So potentially with my YouTube money I could see this being a book that I replace. But there are a lot of similar elements going on as well, so I do think, well, would the same thing just happen where I kind of get bored colouring the same elements over and over again? But I love the story running through it, I really do. So yes, that's kind of where my head's at with that, if that even made any sense. But that's everything that I have to share with you. This has been a very haphazard video. I do apologise, and I hope that the thoughts running through my head made some sort of sense. I really appreciate it if you got to the end of this video. This is something that I hope will motivate you. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, because I know for a lot of people this is a very common topic, struggling to get the inspiration or the motivation to work in certain books. And I do find myself now with my current collection gravitating towards the same sorts of books, and filling up certain books just because of lack of time, and being gravitated towards certain artists right now. So that's just the way it is for now, but I'm sure this will be a topic that I continue to revisit. And if you want me to talk more in depth about certain things related to this, please let me know, and I can try and make my thoughts make sense. So if you want any clarification in the comments, please let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear from you. My email's down below. Any other ways you can contact me, that's all down below as well. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. So take care everyone, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.